Learn to be a successful project manager without a technical background. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals and companies to develop their project management skills. How I do that in practice can be from providing training, provide one-on-one support where I guide aspiring project managers or junior project managers how to deal with their projects, how to organize it, how to make sure that they understand how to prioritize, how to engage with the teams, how to report the project to make sure that they gain confidence, of course, to present, to lead the project, but also to deal with important stakeholders like managers, customers, and so on. Before I forget, this content here is part of the warm-up of the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit is a free event I'm going to make where I'm going to show you how to progress with your project management skills, how to learn project management, how to develop yourself to make sure you can succeed with project management. Everything there is free. So the only thing you need to do, click in the link here and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to like and share this video because you help this video to reach more people, and more people can learn about project management. But also, you help me to grow my channel, so I'm going to be very happy if you can help me. And so the topic I'm going to talk about is what question that I get quite often, and you see in general you can find a lot of debate around that. Is do you need to have specific technical knowledge to manage a project? Meaning, in certain level, do you need to be a technical expert to manage a project? And although there's people that disagree with that, my answer is always no. You don't need to be a technical expert to manage your project. Because in general, if you are a project manager, unless you are working in a company where you're having a dual position, like you are the project manager, but also you're the technical lead. There are some companies that work like that, but that's not how the majority of the companies they work on. So you don't need to be a technical expert to manage a project. And to confirm that, I'm going to show you some of the projects that, of course, I manage very briefly. Then I'm going to talk about how I handle those projects even without having the technical knowledge. Well, my background is electrical engineer. So I started my career work with planning and construction projects. Here you can see in the screen some pictures that project I've worked on. I've worked on a very iconic project in Brazil, the transposition of the San Francisco River, quite a big one. That's the first picture that you see here. Then I've worked also in different types of projects. I've worked in mining, in expanding the power supply for a mining company in the Amazon forest here. And at the time that I was working in Brazil, I've worked directly in seven different projects there. And all those projects, they were engineering, procurement, and construction. In most of those projects, I had to handle like the civil part of the project, like the civil works, the heavy construction of the project. I had to handle the procurement, mechanical part, and the electrical part that was more aligned with my technical background there, and also with more my short experience as an intern that I had in Brazil there. After that, I moved to another industry there. I moved for automotive industry. There, I handle projects for global companies to develop their supply chain. There, I've handled more than 17 projects worldwide, some at the same time. So I handled suppliers all around the world, Europe, Asia, Americas. There, this was automotive industry to produce sensors. I did not have much knowledge about sensors. I did not have much knowledge about automotive industry there, to let you know there. And also handling the automotive industry product development there, handling directly big OEMs here in Europe. Which in this case was air suspension for a car. And again, what's my knowledge of air suspension? Well, after working on those projects for I think between 2 or 3 years, of course, I gained some knowledge because then you're doing that, you acquire some knowledge. But I'm far away from being from a technical expert to work to produce a sensor. I'm far away from being a technical expert for an air suspension. And to continue a bit my journey, I also handle projects, service development in the healthcare. I'm far away to be a technical expert in the healthcare industry. I do not have a technical expertise about the equipment or about a lot of details how the industry works. And now I'm handling projects in the semiconductor industry there. And again, I'm very far away of being a technical expert in a semiconductor, how you're going to design a chip, and a lot of other stuff. But if I do not have this technical expertise, how do I handle those projects? And why I show to you all those different projects here. Even in my wildest dream, I could not see myself being the technical expert in all those types of industries. So the first basic thing that you need to understand is you don't need to be a technical expert. And I'm just showing the types of projects I have been handling in the past, I don't know, 14, 15 years there to showcase to you that you don't need to be a technical expert. Of course, in the beginning, my technical background it helped me a lot because those projects in Brazil they were much more aligned with my technical background. So this helped me to progress. But once I moved to another industry, I had to develop much more my project management skills, meaning problem solving, leadership skills, communication skills, to be able to succeed as a project manager there. So you don't need to know everything. Otherwise, you also would get stuck in a specific industry. And that's not what you see around. Not only me, but you can find different people. And I have a mentee, for example, she is moving to be a junior project manager. She has a background in business, and she's moving to be a junior project manager leading semiconductor projects. So also her expertise there is limited. But what you need then if the technical knowledge is not required, you need to be able to understand that project management is much more than the technical part. Because in general, if you're working in a team, and you always have a technical expert in your team. That can be a design engineer, that can be a process engineer, that can be a expert, a software expert, software architect, a coder, or it can be a marketing expert. It can be a quality expert. You have all those different knowledge, all those different specific technical knowledge that are required to execute different types of projects. For example, I mentioned for you engineering, procurement, and construction. There was some type of expertise involved on there. For supply chain development, there was some type of expertise development there. Air suspension development, some type of expertise. Same thing for healthcare. What do you need to do as a project manager? You need to be able to lead and guide this team to the right direction to achieve the project goal. So you're not going to be the one making the design. You're not going to be the one making the technical decisions. But you need to understand what's the impact of those decisions. For example, let's put an example here for an air suspension. Well, if there's a big change in the design, what's I don't need to understand technically the change, but depending on what's changing, I need to understand. Okay, if there's this change in this design, that's going to affect this, and this component, that affect this and this supplier, which is going to reflect my timeline, which is going to reflect my cost, and which in the end is going to reflect what the company expects me to deliver, and it's also what the customer expects me to deliver. So why this is so important? Because you're not there to be the technical expert. That's a pitfall that a lot of project managers they get, because sometimes they were very good technical experts, then they end up in a project manager position, and they want still to have to lead the project technically, but you should not do that. Your focus as a project manager is different. And of course, That does not mean that you don't need to know, you don't need to learn anything technically. Of course not. You need to have this technical high level view for whatever product that you're developing, whatever type of project. What's the overview that you need to have? What's the big picture that you need to understand there? Why? The big picture is okay. You need A, you need B, you need C to have the D result here. Or in a case, for example, a sensor, you need a connector. You are going to need a cup, can be a metal cup or different types of material, and you need a port where it's going to be the sensor. You are going to assemble this in a way, of course, that works. Then you are going to test it and send to the customer. You're not going to enter the details. Okay, what are the dimensions of the connector? What's the technical things that the connector need to have? But you need to have some level of understanding. Okay, what are the main technical items that these needs to be achieved? What are the cost drivers that you need to be there? And that's the trick. You can learn those things. And when I'm talking about you're going to learn the technical part, I'm not telling you that you're going to learn to be the expert. Very important for you to understand that. You're going to learn to be able to build this big picture here and to be able to perform. How do you learn those things? One very simple example that I did it more than once already in my career. For example, when I joined this air suspension here for this air suspension programs that I manage, I asked the technical leader there in the first month, we had a chat and say, hey, I want to help you to execute those projects. I want to add value here for you. And I want to take out stuff from your plate because I see that a lot of times the commercial team, they come and ask things to you. And I want to take out stuff from your plate because I see that you are overloaded and some of those things that are asking, it's not your responsibility to answer. But to be able to do that, I need to have a basic technical understanding how this product works. Can you help me? And he was like very happy. Yes, I can help you. So what we did, we set up half an hour meeting every week where he would explain to me and where we would go in technical details and I would ask questions. And what if we change this? What if we change that? Why this is important? Why this is not important? Of course, after 2 months or 3 months, I don't know. I had the knowledge, or even shorter, I had the knowledge that I need to handle the project. And I continue to learn, I continue to ask questions to him, but then we will not need to have a dedicated meeting anymore. But in the end, he was very happy because then I could create better timelines, I could create better cost structures, I could have a better cost business case review, I could have better discussions and interactions with customer. So this is very important here. So you need to have this overview, regardless if you don't have the technical expertise, the technical detail expertise, but you need to build this overview. And that's of course why, as part of my development program there, what I do, I have a checklist that I call Project Scan with, I don't know, probably 30, 40 questions to understand a project in details. So it helps people to gain this understanding. Okay, do this, do that, do that. I to help to build this overview because in the end that's what you need to execute a project. You don't need to be the technical expert, but you need to understand how to build the minimum expertise to execute a project. Because in general, if you have the technical expertise, once you have this overview, then what you're going to need. You are going to need to exercise your leadership skills. And why I'm saying exercise your leadership skills? Because instead of saying to someone you need to do this by Friday, and you're going to come to your team and say, dear team or dear technical lead, dear process engineer, design engineer, dear quality, there's this change here that the customer asked us. How does it affect your part? Or how does it affect the project? They're asking us to modify this, and this. When they're asking this to be done, I don't know, by Friday. Is that feasible by next Friday? And they're going to say no, because to modify this, we need to run a simulation, we need to update the design. If we change this, we already have a tool in the supplier that we are going to need to update it. So you need to learn how to ask questions. One of the best ways to lead is by asking questions. At least in my opinion, there's of course all types of there's different types of leadership style. The one that's much more directive, and one of the things that I had to transition was from being this very directive because I was managing a project that I had very good technical knowledge to instead of being directive, being technical or being pushing people in the direction I think it was better. I had to learn to hold myself back, to ask better questions to make sure my team can achieve it. But by doing that, I improved my leadership. I had to improve my problem solving because to solve a problem that you already have an idea what's the root cause is something. To guide the team to solve a problem that you have no idea what's the possible root cause, that's a completely different thing. But that's a skill that's required. Organizing something that you if you know everything. For example, I already mentioned too. I'm an electrical engineer, and I was doing a substation, electrical substation, something that you can see in the picture here in the corner of this picture here. So, a electrical substation, yeah, I have a very good technical knowledge. So, organizing something that I understand the details, it's it's much easier than organizing something that I have just this high level view. Of course, this is a different type of challenge, but that will require you to develop different types of skills. And that's also what helped me to develop more my skills. Because instead of being the engineer that gets in a project manager position and tells them what to do, now you need to be the lead to guide your team in the right direction. Then that's of course why this high level overview is important for you. And that's why your goal, your understanding the project goal is so important to you because that will help will be your north there to guide you in the journey that you're doing there. And I've seen a lot of discussion about people saying not only on project manager, but I've seen the discussion people saying the Scrum Master also should have experience as a developer. And there's people arguing both ways. And I tend to agree with people that say also no, it's not because being a Scrum Master, unless of course we also need to develop something, but that's a different that's a different discussion. That's a different type of position. Then you need what you need. You are going to need to lead your team. What's important for you now? You understand. Hopefully, you understand that you don't need to be a technical expert. Of course, if you look for different positions that you want to work on, you're going to see different types of requirement there. For example, if you are looking into construction, very often you see a type of requirement to be a project manager in construction. They ask to have an engineering degree. Does it mean that without an engineering degree, it's impossible to manage the project? Because no, it's not about the engineering degree. But why I'm mentioning that? Because if you're applying for a position that has a hard requirement, which you don't have the hard requirement, although you can execute the project, if you have the right skills, of course, you are going to be able to execute the project. The company might not consider you for the position. Unless, of course, they know you, unless you have a connection there. There's, of course, other ways and other variants around it. But blindly, if you don't know anyone in the company, they say, I have a hard requirement that I want someone with engineering degree, and you don't have an engineering degree, so your chances are less. Does it mean that's impossible? No, I've seen a post on, I think, past few days on LinkedIn, someone saying, everybody can execute a job. Everybody can learn. Of course, everybody can learn. Or most of people should be able to learn and should be able to execute the job that you want. But what companies are looking for when they are hiring someone is not only if this person can learn. It's also how fast you can get up to speed to execute your job. For let me put a different type of example. If a company hires a project coordinator or a junior project manager, it's expected that this person will need higher support and more time to learn and to be able to perform in a certain level. If a company is hiring a a senior project manager, it's expected that this senior project manager will be able to still learn, because you always have a learning curve when you join a new company. You need to meet new people, you need to learn about the procedures of the company and so on. But it's expected this learning curve, or the time that you are going to be able to perform in a certain level, it's shorter. So it's not about if someone can learn in the job and to be able at some point in the future to execute a job. It's important about how fast are you going to be able to perform. And that's also why I have this project scan there, because in general I working with junior project managers or with project coordinators. I see they lack some knowledge and some kind of structure. That's why I built this checklist based on my experience and based, of course, on my journey, to make sure that you can speed it up. Like I built like an onboarding program that you can use in any type of company. Why I built that for myself, from moving to one company to another, based on the challenge that of course I faced. I have built this checklist to help you to map the project. Why? Because what I want for myself, and was of course for people working with me, that you take this learning period that, depending on the company, can be, and depending of your level of maturity or your level of knowledge, can be 6 months, 1 year. I want to shorten this, yeah, very fast, like 1 or 2 months. And if you are wondering, that I did that myself. In this company here with the air suspension, in the 5 or 6 week, I was presenting to customer European management there how we would support the program, the activities there. Of course, I was not, the level I was performing the 6 week was very different the level I was performing already with 6 months. But with 6 weeks at work, I could bring a lot of value for the organization, at the point that even the European director there, the European executive director there, and even the president of the company, they were impressed and say, "It seems that you have been doing that for years already, and you are here for only 5 weeks." So that's why it's important. But how I was doing that without the technical knowledge? I was working to make sure I was building my overview. I was mapping the requirements of the project. So in the beginning, that's a lot of study. That's what people don't understand. The time that you have, it's like, oh, I do not know what to do. So you use this time to learn. Because in the beginning, every person that joins a company in the first couple of weeks, usually your workload is it's low. You're not going to have pressure for delivering something. So you need to use the time to understand where you are, to meet people, to understand the procedures, to understand what needs to be done there, to understand the goals, the key performance indicators, the team, how things should work. This is very important. And this is, in the end, for a project manager, is much more important than the technical details there. That's why I'm telling you, you don't need. And if you still do not believe me, even with I'm showing you the type of projects that I've been working on in the past, I don't know, 14 years. I'm not a technical expert on those things, but I'm able to perform in a very high level, even when compared with senior project managers. I'm performing as senior project manager with people that has been working in the same industry for 20 years. Of course, their technical knowledge in the product is much better than mine, but I learned how to create strong points, also that can bring my performance to the top. That I'm not lost. I guide myself, and that's why I created this method that I use myself, and of course that I also make available for people working with me, that in working my development programs. So in general, what you are going to need to perform is not the technical knowledge. You are going to need much more than that. And that's why I mentioned here, waterfall and agile, they are just a tip of the iceberg that you need to be there successful there. And if you look in this, in what I'm showing you here, you don't need to have, you don't need to be the technical expert, but you're going to need to be to work on leadership skills, teamwork skills, finance, Finance is one of the things that can help you a lot to perform well as a project manager. And that's one of the things that I see that's a big pitfall for a lot of project managers. Why? Because understanding your business case, it's a very good way to add value for organization. Remember that the goal of any project manager there is to deliver value for the organization. You're not going to deliver value as a technical expert. So you need to look for different ways how you're going to bring value for the table. And understanding very well your business case, it's one of the ways that you bring value for the table because usually there's not a lot of people in your organization that will understand well a business case. Why? Because simply people think finance is difficult or oh I'm a project manager, I don't need to know finance. And I've heard that from plenty of people say, yeah, I'm leading this delivery here of this service or this project, but I don't know the numbers. So what you're leading there if you don't know the numbers? And of course you can lead your team, but how you're going to measure your progress? How do you know which direction that you're going? Invariably, companies one of the very easy ways to measure value is with business case, with finance, with money. Can be to make more money selling more products, or can be to reduce costs. There can be to, but very often that you see this kind of stuff. And even if you don't have cost reduction or selling more products, if you are having a project that you want to be more effective, increase customer service, or whatever type of project that you have, money is going to be important because if you say I'm going to improve my customer satisfaction for 85 to 90%, but then the company says I'm going to invest $100,000 for that, that might be acceptable. If you come to the company and say we need to invest $100 million there, and the company says that's not acceptable. Of course, I'm exaggerating the numbers here to make a point. Forget about only focusing on the technical part. The technical part, it's important, yes, but for a project manager, it's only up to a point, which is this technical overview that I mentioned to you. And I even give you an example how you can build that. Talking with people, asking them to help you, being humble there, building those relationships that will help you, and asking questions. But then you are going to need a lot of other stuff like communication, lean. Why lean management? Because that will help you, that will give you a lot of tools for problem solving, to increase your effectiveness, to understand how you can improve the operations of the company. So understanding lean, the 8 ways of lean, what are the tools that they can have there, philosophy, culture, that's very important. Also lean, if you don't know it, is the entire foundation for agile was built up on lean. So the agile culture, agile values, that's kind of evolved from lean. And a lot of the tools you see, Kanban is a tool that started with lean. When I'm talking about lean manufacturing, lean management, Toyota production system. So stop focusing on the technical part that you say, I don't have it. Yeah, okay, you don't have the technical expertise. And I find out a lot of people that they, in theory, they have the technical expertise, but they don't have anything. I've worked with engineers that their engineering type of knowledge there was so minimal that I do not even know how they get a degree. But they were performing different activities there. So stop focusing and saying, I don't have the technical expertise. Start focusing and saying, okay, how I'm going to add value for the table? How I'm going to bring value for the table? Because that's the real question. As a project manager, your goal is not to run meetings. Your goal is not pushing your team. Your goal is make sure you add value for your team, for your organization, for your project. And value will mean a lot of different can be a lot of different things. Sometimes it's going to be managing a business case, a cost management. Sometimes it's going to be solve a conflict in the team, or providing clarity in the lead time, in the timeline, or anticipating to a risk, or managing interface there, talking with the customer. Can be a lot of different ways to add value there. But you're only going to be able to do that if you build the right skills there, if you have the right overview about your project. Because if you do not understand your project to a point that, okay, I do not know what needs to happen in 3 months, or I do not know what needs to happen in 2 months, you're not going to be able to anticipate anything. And I've seen projects that project managers that basically they understand the project for the next 4 weeks. And if you ask them, okay, what's going to happen in 6 months, they have no visibility. But if you don't have any type of visibility, you cannot anticipate anything. And when I'm talking about visibility, I'm not telling that you need to be able to have all this technical detailed knowledge or this perfect plan with all the details and so on. But you need to have an overview. Even if you're using Agile, if you're using Scrum, you say, what needs to happen in the next 6 months? Oh, we have a product release 6 months from now. From the product release from now, we have 12 sprints. So in this 12 sprints, we need to build. It can be okay. Let's assume that's the first release. We need to build a product for this release. So those are the minimum technical items that needs to be working so you can release something, and you need to have features that they are adding value for the customer. And you can have this in a very high level. And of course, every sprint you are going to refine that. You see with the team and you improve that. But you always keep there, okay, 6 months, 5 months from now, we need to have the release. How are we for the release? If you only think on this sprint, if you are in this case, you probably are the product owner or you are the scrum master, you are just thinking about what's going to happen then this week or the next week. You forget that it's fine. The team needs to focus in this sprint, but you need also to think few steps ahead to understand how you're going to clear roadblocks, what kind of value that you need, what kind of information that you need from your customer. So this is very important, and that's why I'm going to mention again, you don't need to be the technical expert to manage a project. You don't need to be the technical expert in this case, but you need to make sure that you understand the project in a technical high level to make sure that you can add value for organization there. Again, don't forget this content is part of the warm-up for the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit, I'm going to talk much more on project management and how you can deliver value there. So make sure you subscribe. Everything is free. Don't forget to like and share this video so we can reach more people and more people can learn project management. And if you have questions, feel free to ask in this video. Feel free to ask in the Q&A box in my Instagram there. Feel free to send me a direct message on Instagram there, because if then your goal is to develop your project management skills, my goal is to support you in this journey. Thank you. See you. Bye.